Can Oregon win one back against Indiana? And how difficult is it to beat a team twice in the same year, especially a team as balanced and as devastating as the Hoosiers in 2025? What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year-round. If you're into that, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Who do you think will win in the Peach Bowl between number 1 and undefeated Indiana and number 4 and 13-1 Oregon? This is not just a rematch of an earlier season affair, the second time that we've seen, or third time that we've seen two teams that have played each other in the regular season face off in the college football playoff. Ole Miss getting to do it twice, once against Tulane, once against Georgia, winning both of those matchups. And now we get Indiana versus Oregon for the second time, but also we get this year's Big Ten champion against last year's Big Ten champion, albeit with new quarterbacks at each university, and that might have made all the difference. Dante Moore has been playing exceptional football. Many believe that he is a top NFL prospect, a first-round a first-round draft pick. College football, dude. Fernando Mendoza, though, might be the first guy off the board if that's the way he wants to go. And you can see it is the kind of quarterback that many NFL teams would love to turn their franchise over to. I often say the CEO of your organization, whether it's college football or the NFL, has to start with your quarterback. Now, more so in the NFL than it is in college, because we don't have quarterbacks in college football making more money than their head coaches yet, but we do in the NFL, and many of the decisions that are made by a quarterback on and off the field influence the direction of the franchise in the NFL, whereas with college football coaches, you can have guys like Curt Cignetti and Dan Lanning become the stars of the sport very quickly. This is also not just a matchup of the last two Big Ten champions, but of two teams that have not won a national championship in the modern era. As a matter of fact, the only team to win a national championship in the 21st century in the college football playoff semifinals is Miami, and they did it 25 years ago in 2001. Ole Miss won a championship last 64 years ago, and Indiana, once one of the losingest team in all of college football, now the best team in all of college football. And Oregon's been knocking on the door, it feels like, for the last decade plus. Best shot that they've had to win the national championship ever comes here and now, as they are able to get past the quarterfinal round, unlike what they were able to do last year, and get into just one more, and you're in the game to win it all. But to do it, Ducks are going to have to beat the best team in all of college football, and it's not been close. When you look at Indiana, you ought to see balance on both sides. You also ought to see a team that does not play a whole bunch of close ball games. As a matter of fact, it's not just that they have been good this year and undefeated. It's that 9 of their victories have come by 20 points or more. And what they did to Alabama in the Rose Bowl was absolutely, positively no fluke. They were able to get home while playing 2 high safeties, and they were able to run the football on a team that expected them to run the football once again. What I think is different about Oregon this go-round is just how much better their defense looks 2 games into the college football playoff. They gave up a ton of points against 34 against James Madison and over 500 yards offense, and Dan Lanning made his Ducks treat that game like a loss, because that was at home, and you let this team continue to score on you and run it up late in the second half. They responded. In the Orange Bowl against Texas Tech, they blanked them. No scoring for you. Brandon Finney played the best football of his entire life. 2 interceptions and a recovered fumble. The kind of shutdown corner you're going to need if you're looking to take away 1 or 2 or even 3 of those wide receivers at Indiana right now. I'm also looking at Mateo Uiagalelei, who has been outstanding. And I think we have been focusing on the wrong Uiagalelei for too long. That dude is devastating. coming off the edge. He does not have the sack numbers this year that he did last year, led the Big Ten last year in sacks with 10.5. But that is because teams are doubling him and trying to take him away, which has led to the rise of other players, namely Bryce Betcher, Dylan Thineman, and Tatum Tuioti, who has been a monster here in the second half of the season. I believe he's got 6 sacks in the last 7 games from his linebacker spot. His father, Tony, is also the defensive line coach at Oregon. I love the story about how Tatum Tuioti got to Oregon. His father put his tape in front of the coaches and said, hey, look, just tell me if you think he's good. I don't want you to offer anybody because he's my kid or any of that. And Dan Lanning said, puts on the tape. He says, dude's always around the ball. He's always making plays. And he looks at Tony, says, that kid's going to be an all-conference player, and it's because of everything he has learned from his father. And it feels like that's just what it is. And when you hear Tatum Tuioti talk, he's a linebacker, dog. He wants to hit people. He doesn't like getting hit. He likes delivering blows. That is what he is about. That is what he lives for. Bryce Betcher, the same way. Dylan Thineman, what I thought was the second best safety in all of college football for a couple of years now, and he's playing like it. He was doing that at Purdue. He's continued to do it at Oregon. Now he has an opportunity to play for a championship with just one more win and in a really big setting. I mean, the Peach Bowl was supposed to be SEC territory, right? And this year, you're going to see 2 Big Ten teams in Atlanta playing at the site where they host the SEC championship game, which again brings me around to a much larger point. There are 2 Big Ten teams in a 4-team semifinal. There's only one SEC team, and it's Ole Miss, not the team that we thought was the best, but certainly one of the best. And they got to get past a tough Miami team. But we could be looking at the 3rd year in a row where a Big Ten team has won the national championship. And we could also be looking at the 3rd year in a row where the SEC has been boxed out of the national championship game. No matter what happens next week, a Big Ten team will play in the national championship game for the 3rd consecutive year. I'm inclined to believe that the balance of power in college football has shifted to north of the Mason-Dixon line. Don't know what that was about. I just ate a beard here. What would make that absolutely true is winning the national championship. And if a team like Indiana, and by like Indiana, I mean one that was on the dumpster pyre in 2023, wins the national championship in 2025, yeah, you're going to get to say that even the worst team in the Big Ten can flip it around and play and win the national championship in just 2 short years. That makes the entire conference that much better to look at. Something that the SEC would like to tell you, right? When you look at what LSU, Georgia, Alabama, Auburn have all meant to playing football in the SEC, to say nothing of Oklahoma and Texas being teams that make the college football playoff each of the last 3 years, right? I mean, one or the other, not both, obviously. But A&M just missing out. Missouri could get there, maybe. We'll see. They're expected to go after Austin Simmons in the transfer portal, and that would be tremendous. But what's it going to take for Oregon to topple the best team in college football? They're going to have to continue to play lights out defense, and they're going to have to find some consistency on offense. We know that they want to run the football. They weren't able to do a whole bunch of that against Texas Tech. Texas Tech's defense is really good. One of the best defenses in college football, like many of the teams that are left. But also, Dante Moore is going to have to get into some rhythm with his wide receivers. I think the injuries are starting to show themselves, right? The injury that Evan Stewart had before the season started to Corian Moore. You're going to have guys, right? I'm not saying that they don't have guys. I am saying that something's got to give here. And if you are looking at the quarterback that can make the most plays and the fewest mistakes, you're looking at Indiana. And that is where Indiana has an edge. Fernando Mendoza does not make a bunch of mistakes. As a matter of fact, he doesn't really make them in the second half of the season. He threw that pick 6 against Oregon, but that's about it. Since then, he has been surgical with the football. And when they have loaded the box, he has found Charlie Becker, Elijah Surratt, or Omar Cooper in one-on-ones. When they get out of the box, he hands the ball to Kalen Black and Roman Hemby, and they go to work. Charlie Becker could be the X factor in this game because this is a guy that showed up a little bit late in the season with injuries to Elijah Surratt and Omar Cooper. But many have said he's the fastest wide receiver in college football, and he had 126 yards receiving against the number one team in the country and the number one scoring defense in the country. I believe that Oregon can pull this off, but at this point, I'm just not into picking against Indiana anymore. Like, somebody's going to have to beat them, because every time it seems like they're going to reach their level and the inexperience of being at this height is going to catch up with them. They maul Alabama, right? They go to work on Ohio State. They've already beaten Oregon. And while it is difficult to beat a team twice in a row in the same year, maybe that's Oregon's secret sauce, right? Oklahoma couldn't do it against Alabama, and Georgia couldn't do it against Ole Miss. Maybe this is the year that, or the game for which Oregon can upset Indiana. You let me know what you think in the comments below. Ooh. Never mind. You know what? If you're still here, appreciate you being here. Did you know that we are sponsored by SeatGeek? Because, look, I realize that some of you won't be going to this game. But if you are going to this game, and frankly, you just want to help the show out, download the SeatGeek app. It's in the description below. And search for tickets just on the app. But if you want to go to this game, Peach Bowl, I would tell you that you get pretty good tickets right now, Friday, January 9th, in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, $179 in general, right? Or you can get section 345 or 225 right here on the app. But the reason I'm pitching it to you is SeatGeek sponsoring with the show has been really great for us, and we want to continue our partnership with them, and they partner with us for the rest of the postseason. But if you're looking for concert tickets of any kind, SeatGeek's got you 10% discount up to $20 off of your tickets. And again, just helps the show. Thanks so much for that, because you're still here.